What does this mean? This is on the Linda Lane car park footage, and it's on the 1112. Why? So what if the law enforcement frats, University of Idaho, and Pullman, etc., weren't involved originally, but they came to find out shortly after, maybe within the 72 to 96 hours before a press conference?
And eternal pain.
And here we go. Welcome to the freak show, the best in town.
Tonight, we're going to be talking sophisticated operations. We are going to be talking about the background of everybody involved. I got an email from somebody. They might have just pieced it together. I'm going to rely on you guys a lot tonight to fill in the gaps of this theory. I've done my best with my research. A lot of the stuff that is said, we've just grazed over. Okay, there's no shortage of things to dive into tonight. Leave more DNA on the like button than Brian Koberger has left on that sheath. The top performing vote came in at 46% with criminal network payback. Who do you think the payback is going towards? Is it the students themselves? Or is it their parents, perhaps? Does anybody remember the stream that I did way back in the day with Phoenix Talks when we did a simulated AI on Hex and crypto? It's the only video to this day that I have had to take down. The reason why is I gave this AI bot a prompt, and what it did, it gave me a quote that was like, I pieced together everything too well, like to the point where it was like, okay, maybe this is actually real. But yeah, that's one of my all-time favorite episodes too. Why would crypto be involved? This simulation, forget the exact name, but it essentially did what predictive policing AI programs did. And it filled in the gaps. And so it had this, this is actually one of the reasons why I got into contact with Outcast for the first time. I can't remember it off the top of my head. The burn wallet. Long story short, it was like 80% real, and then it filled in the last of this wallet that said that it burned an X amount of dollars of Hex. Well, here's what's crazy. There is some real life, corroborating evidence to that. Hex, the crypto, 2021, 2022, there was a major crash. A lot of people lost a lot of money. How does this tie in? Well, I'm not the world's biggest crypto expert. If I put any of my money into crypto, I literally buy it and I forget about it. And then it sits in a cold storage wallet. That's about it. I'm not out here, doing meme coins and anything like that. But I do know that even though it's on the quote blockchain, there are ways to scramble it. There are ways to completely stay anonymous where your name will never be attached to it. It's on a blockchain. So if you put a lot of money into it, you're known as the whale, whales are dumping it. Again, this is a very juvenile way of describing crypto, I'm sure, to people in the Hive. Well, and that's true, Sherlock. Thank you for pointing that out. It says, wait, though, it didn't come from nowhere, Birdie. The wallet info came from the text script of the Linda Lane video. That's how it started. Dude, Sherlock, I am so happy you just brought this up. Holy shit. Sorry, I forgot about this. Guys, this is going to blow your mind. If you've stuck with me, if you have been with me since TikTok, does anybody remember the crypto wallet and what it said? So I can put it on screen so that people know if this is your first time tuning in or if you're newer since YouTube. What did it say that was the code that we were trying to figure out? We did closed captions on the Linda Lane car park footage. You can see that it was wherever they did the enhanced audio. Everyone's watched this YouTube video. I don't think that's Jeff H's. I think that might just be Linda Lane archive. But okay, it's a hexadecimal string or part of a transaction. I'm going to throw this on here right now. You guys are going to see this in real time. We'll see it get added to the screen right here. What does this mean? This is on the Linda Lane car park footage, and it's on the 1112. Why? It is the exact same hexadecimal code. Okay, what are the chances of this? The car park on Linda Lane, and then you have recently released, I would consider still, 1112. They have the exact same metadata that pops up that the captions pick up. It's the same exact wallet. So I told it to redo it, think contrarily. They're not the same owners. We don't know the manufacturer. This cannot just be a coincidence. And that's a great point. Lady G says it wasn't an SD card. I hate to say this, but it's like, this is where Jeff H., if he's even a real tech on that, and even though it might piss us all off, if he goes towards the mainstream thing, he might be able to give a technical reason why. But honestly, I don't even know if we need to rely on Jeff H. I know we don't need to. Yeah, boo. I need a hotkey of the God damn it, Jeff. Yeah, Jeff H does need redemption. Thank you, Sydney. 95 Reynolds says 1126, 1127, 1118 King Road, 733 West Taylor or West Taylor Ave. Those are all owned by Eagle Investment Group. Okay. All right. So thank you to Zach Nelly, because I said I switched it to thinking mode. It thought for 18 seconds. And it says, you're right to push on this. If those two cameras are at different properties, they are owned by different people, they are from apparently different setup, and still show the exact same message, then no, it's not a coincidence. All right, I'm giving Zach the top dog. Thank you for suggesting that. I didn't even realize it was in instant mode and not thinking mode, but thank you. So it says we're going to start with the weird part. We have two independent systems displaying the exact same 32 character hex string in the same weird unpolished log sentence. This is the key. It's not noise. That's a signature. Okay. So now going back to the TikTok days, if you've been watching for the last 10 minutes or so, that's why I was freaking out, because this is the exact same thing that we had heard originally. Okay. We got 32 hex characters, 128 bits, classic MD5 style length. That is not decodable ciphertext in the normal sense. It's almost certainly a hard-coded test value, a user device or session ID, and it's left over from development. I brute checked it against obvious MD5s. It doesn't match any of the simple stuff. That's fine. Hashes are one way. What matters is that it behaves like an internal identifier, not a human message. So two unrelated locations, same rare debug string, same hash. This proves it shared technical ancestry somewhere. The question is where. The subject line of the email is Idaho 4 theory that just hit me.
Please retrieve your nearest tinfoil hat. Place hat firmly on your head. Prepare yourself.
Now that the tinfoil hat is on, let me first read Liana's email. I've noted that both Dylan and Quinn's dads have long records. So I thought, Dylan ends up rooming with Xana and Maddie. In maybe an innocent conversation, somehow they got to learn of the plea deals that the parents made. It gets back to somebody who is towards the top of that gang. They then realize they have an in and they plan to use Dylan to get payback. She's either manipulated or threatened, hence why she's being protected to lure Kaylee back, because Steve G ripped off JJB in the Hex collapse. So what if the law enforcement frats, University of Idaho and Pullman, etc., weren't involved originally, but they came to find out shortly after, maybe within the 72 to 96 hours before a press conference, because Dylan didn't keep her mouth shut to them. Maybe Mowich may have been recruited by Quinn's dad and made a dying confession in the hospital. What if Dylan is the one that flipped? What if Dylan's the one that spoiled this entire plan? Whether it be connections to Quinn, whether it be connections to whatever she had heard through the grapevine in an innocent conversation. We haven't found the truth just shitting on Dylan yet. I'm going to give myself that same critique. And so Love Always Redacted said, I'm fucking sick of people protecting Dylan. She's been guilty from day one. She contaminated a crime scene and she lied. I've said the same thing. Love Always Redacted. I also think that, is it time to stop banging our head on a brick wall and expecting a different result with, if we can see this, all of us see this, are we to really think that these people can't? And you can say, yes, there's dumbasses in law enforcement for sure. Right. So Wild West 144 says, here's the bottom line, Birdie. A real investigation just did not happen in this case, and there has to be a reason for that. Can we all agree with that? Dude, they're trying to keep Dylan alive. What if that's it? It's everything that we're saying. And it almost sounds like it's like they understand that just keeping her talking is better than her not being there, whether she's dead or she's on the run. Therefore, they're saying, thank you. Is it a stretch to think, too, that she's not already aware of this narrative that they're going to put out? I feel like I'm kind of the minority right now in the Hive, and that's fine. I do wonder if they're appreciative of her going on record, knowing that these will be released, so that, like, what, years later, right now, if somebody that's still in the gang hears this, they're like, oh, shit, Dylan didn't say anything. Just like Dylan said, I was convinced it was Jack, but on the news, I didn't hear anything about that. So I was like, oh, wow, it's not. Like, what if that's the same effect that people who listen to it are now going to have? What is Dylan's boyfriend Quinn's relation to these drug hits? The drug networks, rather. Dude. I you know what? I hate that my brain works like this, because whenever I have this thought, I'm like, that clicks, this clicks, that clicks, and then I talk out loud and I get to like the fifth step and then it doesn't. But whatever. It is what it is. That's how my brain works. Okay. His dad is an Aryan Knight and is in prison. What if Quinn was the informant? And what if Quinn used Dylan to lure Kaylee back? Quinn is aware that Xana and Maddie's parents cooperated because of his father. And then, if Dylan's the one that gets Kaylee to come back, correct me if I'm wrong, but Dylan's the last communication between Kaylee and the house. Right? Like the physical house? Because she stayed there later. She turned in that paper. So because remember how they said, oh, we all set our alarms to get up at 8 or 8:30, whatever it is. And then Dylan's like, let me look at my phone. I have a paper that I turned in. Dude, if Dylan stayed back to, quote, turn in this paper, but is there, she's the only roommate that has connections that's alive still at that house. She's there later than the other people. She admits that. What if that is the trigger? So then when she leaves, going back to what I said with Quinn tells Dylan, Quinn confirms Dylan knows. Dylan is communicating information from inside the house to Quinn. Quinn's father's already in prison. What if the feds got to him and said, you don't want to end up like your father? Right? I'm just saying. I'm trying to think, like, you guys all just said they manipulate people for confessions. They manipulate people to cooperate. So I'm trying to think. Dylan's the last one in there that has communication with Kaylee that's alive. That could be on purpose. Dylan then leaves. What if Dylan coordinated this whole setup actually, but it was a setup It was a double cross. So Dylan's the last person to see Kaylee. Then Dylan leaves, however many minutes later. I know this sounds crazy, but this is the first time that I'm having this thought, so bear with me. Dylan then texts the people that are supposed to do the hit that don't know that Dylan is working with Quinn, who Quinn is then an informant. So then those people either begin to, and Dylan leaves the door open. Bethany's out of the house. Dylan's in her room during the time. The cops aren't called for 8 hours because the cops, they spoiled the plan. No, and Dylan's not smart like that. But I can tell you what if Quinn went to Dylan? Okay, let me ask everybody this. You're a college-age girl. Your boyfriend comes to you that you know you're dating, that their dad's an area night in prison, and says, hey, my father, if he's not there for me, whatever it is, I don't like this path. I don't want to go down that same path. Two of your roommates, their parents are cooperating to get charges dropped. Typically, this gang puts out hits then on them. If you were going to set somebody up, you'd want to be the last person to be out of that house. Then you would text people that you were going to have, that you're working with, let them know, hey, they're alone in the house, yada, yada, yada. Hey, we're home at this time. Hey, these people are here. These people are not. That's why you're not being treated as a suspect. So Dylan complied to do this on both sides. One side being threat and manipulation. The other side being helping law enforcement. And that gives you a traumatized, confused, lucky survivor that makes no sense. Along with everything else. It's not what the facts show. It's not what the documents show. But that's the human reaction that we're all seeing. A lucky, confused, weird story that the facts don't align with. The reason why Dylan as well is able to have things like this said to her.
As we previously stated, you do not have to answer questions. You are not a suspect. If there's a question that makes you uncomfortable or you just don't feel comfortable with, just let us know and we can bypass it. If you build comfort towards it later, we can address that later. Okay, but and at any given time, you can tell us, I'm done, and we understand. Okay, so we are truly appreciative of you taking time. This is interview what, 5 or 6? Yeah, it's been a lot, and we are truly grateful that you're so cooperative and helpful with this. Your attorney is present today, which is if at any time we stop the interview, she knows what to do. So,
let's think logically. Let's think from law enforcement's standpoint right now. The reason why law enforcement says this to Dylan and why Dylan is able to say whatever she wants without making sense is because a true cross-examination would collapse the operation. Not everybody has to go along with what I'm about to say right now. But to Anita's question, Anita D6844 says, why would a cop act like this? Kiss up. She might be a perp. He doesn't know for sure. I absolutely think that they do know for sure, because if Dylan was arrested, or if this ever went to discovery, or like this would open the door to discovery down the road, right? Every single message, every single call, any of her relationships, family connections, parents' backgrounds, statements under oath. Do you know how easily that would break the chain of custody and break this official story against Brian Koberger? That would die immediately. The cover-up would die immediately. So what do they do to shield that? They use the narrative and they say, she's not a suspect. She's a victim. Move along. That is not anywhere close to what the pursuit of justice looks like. And we have gaslit ourselves into thinking that it's just this corruption. If we were to step back and stop saying corruption, I wonder if we would look through the lens of only an operation and not look at things that are easy to poke holes in, but rather, why are they saying this? Would we be able to literally pinpoint everything that's being done is for a narrative survival? Brian Koberger is factually innocent, as Lovely Me just says. I have a love-hate when this happens on stream. I'll just kind of spin myself around after I say things like that with trying to piece it all together out loud, and it probably ends up confusing people. I don't know. That could sound really stupid to people. I'm just thinking out loud. If this is a random, brutal massacre by a lone killer, why would you leave any witness is alive. That's especially the one that saw him face to face. Why would he risk her calling 911 right away like a reasonable person? Brian Koberger is so smart that he was a psychic after having a Jason Bourne timeline, leaving no DNA. They didn't see his license plate. They didn't see him in the car. They have no connection to the victims. He didn't stalk them. And he knew that Dylan wasn't going to call 911 right away. Didn't hesitate, doesn't stop and threaten her. Nothing. No, it tactically, it makes zero sense. It doesn't even make sense from a storytelling standpoint. If that was in a movie, you'd be like, what the fuck? They have to be in on it. So that means that Dylan Morton's presence is protected, or it's a part of the plan. That's why law enforcement had to declare her innocent and not a suspect. It has to maintain the illusion of randomness. That's Dylan. Dylan is the illusion of randomness. And if Dylan cracks at all, this entire thing really could become a national security nightmare because of other people that might have snitched on the Aryan Knights that might be in witness protection. Cheekbait says, too drunk to witness, too drunk to conspire. In my genuine opinion, this is what we're watching with Dylan. A person who witnessed the event, yes. Has incriminating knowledge, yes. Conflicting accounts, yes. Past involvement, potentially. Cops can't charge them without jeopardizing their case or exposing a deeper operation. Well, we know there are bigger agencies involved. Therefore, that could make Ellie look corrupt. Statements are included, but they contradict key facts. They're never reconciled. There's no charges filed despite inconsistent testimony, known proximity to the crime, and an opportunity to act. For example, 911 for 8 hours. Law enforcement will never publicly address the contradictions. Wow.